So let me start off asking a couple questions because I know the audience is sitting at the edge of their seats. They couldn't wait for this. Well, let me just start off by asking a couple questions. And so I am recently back. I was born and raised in Detroit, and recently back for about 18 months now from New York, where I lived for about 20 years. And I can remember the absolute fervor when Whole Foods was opening up in Detroit. Good and bad, right? And one of the things that folks talked about a lot was the price, right? In terms of how much it was going to cost versus maybe another type of grocery store. And a lot of times people, when they look at locally made products and they see how much that costs, and I'll use Bobby and Fine Foods or Slow Jams as an example, locally based company, that may cost $9 versus the Smuckers or Welchers that may cost 99 cents. And I'm just wondering if you all can talk about the feedback that you all have received from your customers in terms of the cost of a locally produced product. Do they understand that when they buy local, they are actually helping a Detroit-based or a Michigan-based company? Are they willing to pay that extra price? And could you kick us off in the conversation?
Yeah, I think that Michigan especially, I think that people really care about the products they're buying. Even just comparison to the other 5 locations that go door to door, Michigan is by far the most supportive of local products. So they're definitely seeking those products out. In terms of prices, I think it varies. I mean, I think some people, if they're just buying, jelly for their peanut butter jelly for their kids, they might not care as much. But if they're looking for a gift or they're looking for something for their charcuterie or something, they might splurge on it. I think it just depends on the product.
And I would be remiss, Anna, if I didn't mention the fact that I do believe Door to Door Organics is carrying Shea Chloe. And Chloe is a baker who bakes downstairs as well. She makes the chocolate molds and cake. Yeah. So thank you for that. Yeah, but in terms of price.
I mean, price is always important, even though we're Whole Foods and we're known to have higher prices. But I think the real key for us is to have people come in and demo their products and convince the customer why they need to have the product. Why do you need to have this $8 jelly? And why do you need this in your life, and why is it so good? So that's really important for us, for the people to come out and demo and almost be the salesperson for us, because we've seen it time and time again that we put things on the shelves to sell, but if there's no one there to sell it, it often just sits there. Even some of our higher priced local products, I won't say who they are, but they just sit there if they're not going to support it. So that's the biggest thing we ask, is for us to help us support the product by coming out and demoing regularly.
Yeah, so demoing is huge. I think also, especially in Detroit, and again, I've been here for since October, so there's still a lot for me to learn. But if you look at a company like Shinola, which doesn't have anything to do with food, but they sell a really good story. And the food products that I have that do really well in my store also sell a really good story. So you're not buying a $10 juice, you're buying a product that's made here, that's a company owned by 4 sisters, and they started making juice into their parents' kitchen, and now they're in 4 different locations and they're growing. People are really buying into that, and they're buying into the story, and they're buying into the James family, or Mike that's growing potatoes three blocks from my store. So you're not necessarily just spending money on what you're eating, but also what you want to support, and the narrative, and your location, and your support. You feel like you're really doing good for your community as well. So some of my products are a bit more expensive, but I probably can count on one hand the number of times that someone's ever made a comment about anything in my store. So I really wouldn't let that deter anyone from setting a price point that they really can make some actual money with. I mean, don't sell yourself short, because it's not viable. Then you get discouraged, and then the company fails. So if you believe in your message, it's going to come through with the rest of your product.
So I would say the same thing as David said, but people understand organic costs. So I really don't have to justify my prices to people when they come in there, because they know when they come in, they're getting something that's made all natural. There's no preservatives in there. there's the love that I put into my food. Everything is made each morning. So you know when you come in and get something, you're not getting something that was made last week. It was made this morning at between 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. You might get it at noon, so it's 4 hours old. So people know this and they love to hear my story. They love to know that I'm up 18 hours a day working my business every day with a smile on my face. And they know that it's made in Detroit. They want to support Detroit. They want to support. I was born and raised here, left only to go to school. So people love to hear that. They love to know that. So I don't really have a problem with my pricing.
And so one last question before I turn it over to the audience. And David, you really kicked off what I'm going to ask, and that is the story. And so I'm just wondering if you guys could talk a little bit about how can the vendor who wants to either utilize door-to-door organics or Whole Foods, David, or selling Kirby, or David Kirby selling Parker Street, how are they to approach you? I mean, what should they have prepared? Should they have a line sheet? Should they have a presence already maybe on Facebook or the internet? Like, what are some of the things that you guys look for when you guys are looking at potentially carrying a vendor at your store, even online? Some tips that you could give these guys.
I would say first of all would be a unique product. I mean, you have to have great products. I mean, it's pretty simple. Unique in that it's not a saturated market. You know, there's a lot of granolas, there's a lot of jellies. Not to discourage that, but it's a saturated market. You just know that it's really competitive. Product sheets, descriptions are really, really helpful. Knowing what your prices are and what suggested pricing should be. And then just to piggyback after all what was just said, we don't have the luxury of doing demos just because we're all online. So even though your product is in our stores, you still have to do the work of having that interaction. I find that a lot of our good products that sell, they're still in farmers markets, they're still pushing their product outside. Just because you make it into one of the stores doesn't mean it's said and done. Yeah, I mean, besides that, a really consistent, if you're distributing it yourself, a consistent schedule on how you're going to do your deliveries. There's nothing worse than being sold out of a product. Yeah, I mean, besides that.
I agree 100% with Anna about having a real niche in the market. We see salsas, barbecues, granolas, a lot of baking items, all the time. And sometimes we just need something that differentiates from the other products. A good example of that is Ethel's gluten-free bakery. I saw her at Easter Market one day, and I'm like, these are amazing. They're gluten-free. This is something that customers are looking for. We have a lot of celiacs that come in looking for gluten-free products. So we instantly brought her in, and she's a huge success.
Oh, yeah.
And she also demos quite a bit. Even though she's done very well for herself, she still comes and demos, introduces her product, tells a story to others, which is big.
Yeah, no, we know Jill and Vince are very, very well. Amazing job. Yeah, Lisa, you want to
Basically, what I look for is obviously ingredients. Whole Foods has definitely has quality standards, and then I just pretty much basically it's the same thing. It's like getting the food, into people's mouths. If someone had told me 6 years ago that it was so important that you yourselves demo, not necessarily like every single time, but you can't pay someone for your passion. And when I watch, I still to this day, and I won't name the brand, but the customers will still say, have you seen, and it's this woman that now she's like has a family. This is going back like 7 or 8 years ago. They're so not only loyal to the product, but they're loyal to that person. Mm-hmm. I mean, they connect and they have a relationship. And again, nobody has the passion that you have for your product. I mean, you're not, when you interact with customers and you talk about how you got started and the good times, the hard times, and it is pretty amazing. And when I'm standing in the aisles, and again, absolutely Detroit, but I think people want to know where their food comes from. More than ever before. I mean, just, some of the, horror stories or whatever, people want to know, like, where's their food coming from? And to be able to say, this was made right here and raised right in Michigan, goes a long way. Hands down, if I'm in the aisles and I can say this jar of pickles is local, made right here, I can sell it. No ifs, ands, or buts, no matter the price.
So if these three individuals intimidate you, come talk to me. There's obviously a place for the success of Whole Foods and door to door, and you know we still get our produce from door to door and have a very close relationship with door to door, and you know it's business and personal, and they're good friends. But Parker Street was invented with the idea that if you're a small food business and the volume or the overhead or whatever it takes to get into a large retailer is just something that you're not able to do right now, then I have a shelf for you. So you know I feel very tall sitting on your shoulders, and it's your story that you know I'm there every day. I'm the one that's selling it. When I'm not there, Caitlin, my partner's there. So you know we're both very invested in Parker Street and your story. The few items that don't sell well at the store is exactly what they just said, is that you know they'll leave the product for 2 months and not come back. And I get that there are other things that get in the way, but I have best sellers that I can you know almost guarantee that they're going to sell really, really well, because they're even little things like giving out samples, just bringing it by once or twice a week and giving out samples. It's a major thing. But again, also selling your story. I'll have people who will just buy from Caitlin, and no matter where she is, like somebody else will be like, hey, can I help you? Like, no, I'll wait. I'll just wait for her. And that's really because the James family cares about drought and they care about the product, and I really care about Parker Street and everything that's in there too. So if you have, you know, people acknowledge that and they see that, and that's what they're buying as well as the product.
Yeah, April, and you carry Eli's Tea and you at the People's Popcorn. I mean, you carry local products in the shop too as well.
Yeah.